So we all knew this, and just instinctively we knew this. And years ago, when the country was planted and covered, there was scatterings like this here in Uisnach. So I told this story of Tara, and Tara is connected to Uisnach, or twin between them. So I thought it's appropriate that it's a twin that I tell the same story. And that Eru is here. Eru is going to lead the fire procession later on. He'll be carrying the flame up to the top, and it's a fire with hawthorn trees, which is connected to the heart, which is Uisnach's connected to the heart. So this birch sap, if anybody wants it, it's directly from the trees and frozen, so it's as if it came straight out from the tree. So you're welcome to that after. It's kind of part of the story, or do you want to?
But I want to cover it.
Yeah. So the country was covered in trees, and at that time, we used to trade with people. We used to come up and down the coast. If you left a boat drift in Ireland, you could end up in Africa without much bother at all. There's these trade currents that brings us. So we had interaction with people from all over different cultures. We know that used to come here. So we found coins here that are from Egypt. We found things from all over the world. We have a connection with the Indian people. Our triple spiral is exactly almost the same as the Om sign that we know in people when they do meditation. So we had this huge cultural interconnection between all tribes all over the world, and we're all starting to come back together again. So during this time, we used to send some of the younger children over to, say, Egypt, and they used to send their children here to learn the different cultures. So we were very good with the trees, we were good at hunting, we knew about the water, we knew how to get the birch sap out of the tree, we knew how to survive without very much. Like when we go around the country, we need nothing, little to nothing. We don't really spend money. Like today, we just put this up. We don't buy anything. That tarp has been used for 30 years. Same thing, you know, the cans turned into a seat. An old washing machine drum is the fire. So we don't need so much anymore. All the seats that we're sitting on are throwaway seats from campsites. The hand cart that we push as we go around the country is just a made up cart from throwaway metal and wheels from bikes that people didn't want anymore. So the children used to trade over back and would stay for 9 years. They would learn the culture and the way of the people from that area. And what happened, which can often happen, is when they came the time to go home, at the age they were about 18 when they were to go home, and one of the boys had fallen in love with one of the local girls and did not want to go back, and they didn't know what to do. So the only way that they could stay is they decided they got married. So a huge marriage was planned here on the hill, and people came from far and wide all over the country and came from other countries and brought their different cultures with them, and there was a huge massive event and many colours were worn on the day. You were known by the colours you wore. So your royalty, the higher up you wore the 7 colours, you wore purple, you were allowed to wear all the different colours. So there was a lot of colour that day at this wedding, as there are today. We learned these old traditions. So it's very colourful, and at the wedding, they asked this man to marry them. And his name was Ogma. And he was a very old warrior, and he was always there when the people needed him. As there was waves of change in Ireland, he would be there to protect the country and stop these waves coming in and taking over and destroying the culture or whatever at the time. So he was honoured to marry them, and he came in, and he was very old, and he came in and he married the two of them, and he got their hands, and as they still do today, he got the 2 hands, and he tied them together. So he got the hands, and he would have had a belt, a kris, hand woven. This would have been part of the ceremony. He would have taken this off and tied the 2 hands together in a special knot, it was like a sacred knot, and he would have said a prayer over them that they would be fertile and they would live in peaceful times in Ireland, and that their children would be healthy and they would have healthy, happy lives, and everything would be fine for them. And then they were married, and then they got on then with having a feasting, music, dancing, stories, poetry, and they were known for all these things, and they brought people in from the other cultures who also shared their music. They had different music, they had different costumes, they used to wear their hair covered, they used to have different clothes, and they came anywhere where Agma being old, like this was a time where people lived more close to the earth, and they lived longer than we do today. They used all the medicines from the trees and the herbs, and they lived with the seasons, and they didn't have pesticides, they didn't have these additives that we have today. So their bodies were very, very pure, so they lived healthier lives. The water wasn't polluted, they would go to the well and they would get sacred water from sacred wells. And they were so connected to all these trees and everything that they would live longer. So this man had lived a long time. He'd lived like well beyond 100. And as you get like an old tree, as you get old, he needed a stick. Because he started going back to the earth from where he had come. And he said he had to go to sleep. So they had a little room right beside where the wedding was on. So if here on the wedding he would have continued on, and in he went into his little room beside where the wedding was on. And the music went on, and the laughter and the stories, and geez, I haven't seen you for so long, and how's it going down in Kerry, how's it going in Donegal, how's it going in Egypt, and how's it going, and what's going on, and geez, and did you have that storm there that we had, and whatever things that are going on. So it came anyway where they had a big cake, the same as they do now, and this big cake had been made, it was brought in, and nobody had seen a cake so big, so everybody got quiet. And just then, as they all quieted down, which was very unusual, they could hear Agma in the tent. And he started to shout. He was like, "Oh no, I don't believe it. Oh no, I can't. No, don't tell me." And he kept screaming, and this went on, and everybody could hear him. So then he quieted down again, and everybody then went back to partying and taking part in the wedding, and having great fun and dancing, and they stayed up all night, as people still do today. Very similar with the way we celebrate today. We have it within us, in our bones, in our every part of us. So the next morning he wakes up and he comes out, and he was summoned up to the king and the queen, and they asked him, "Come up to us here, what is this? We heard you last night, you were screaming. This is unusual for you. You never have bad dreams. You don't have these visions of things that are going on. And if you do, we've never heard you scream out before." And he said, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it." And the king and the queen said, "You must tell us." No, I don't want to speak it out loud. If I speak it out loud, it may come to pass." And the king and queen said, "You are honour bound, under your oath to us. You must tell us. For the third time, you tell us what you've seen." "Oh my God, I have to tell you." She said, "I've seen a time that will come in the future, and these people will come here who look just like us, but they drive and they don't have cars like us, and they stay in houses that are different to us, and they look at these box things, and they have trees that are connected with wires, and they have cobwebs in the sky, and they have all these things that we don't understand today, and they will come and they will take all our trees, our great forests will be leveled to the ground." And the shock and the wave of shock went through all the people who loved the trees. They understood the trees and all the trees what were good for in the medicines. They climbed trees since they were this size, making huts in the trees, making bows and arrows, making sticks so they could pretend that they were warriors. And when they became warriors, they used all these things. They made the carts. They could travel down from Uisnach, down the Great Road. They could go to Tara. They could go all over Ireland, and they had these roadways made from the trees, through the bogs. We found them since, big chariot roadways through the bogs in Longford and Westmeath, and we have all these places to tell us that these people were so connected to the trees. We know this. So all the warriors that were at the wedding all gathered, and all the women and men were warriors. And these were people that you wouldn't want to deal with. These were like serious hunters. And they all said, "We get them, we must kill them, we must stop this, we can't let this happen. Our trees are sacred. We have our sacred trees and we must mind them." And he said, "But I'm afraid it's in the future. We can't do anything. These people will come in the future." So we must think of a different way. So this little child who was here at the front came over and said, we could send them a message. We could leave a message for them. And the children, who said, oh, the children, they always have a way of looking at things in a simplified way. So the children said, go back to where you were all from, gather all the children, go in with your horses and your chariots, and I want you to bring all the children back to this great big fort. And by the next full moon, we will gather them all here. So straight away, lucky enough, they had been from all over Ireland and beyond. They went to get the children, and they knew the minute they left which children that they were going to get. Because there's these small children who are very quiet, who think about things a lot, and they don't stand out so much. And these are the ones they were after, the ones who could open their minds to things. So they were in touch and intuitive and could sense how to do things. So the children were gathered from all over Ireland, and slowly they would start arriving in, just like the way people are arriving in here to this hill now. And slowly the crowd got bigger and bigger. And as the children came in and they were waiting, they knew they were waiting for twins, just like Uisnach and Tara, the two twins. And they waited for the two twins to arrive, who were coming from an island off the south coast of Ireland, on the west-south coast. They were held up because it was a storm, and the warriors that were sent for them, the man and the woman who were sent, were from up here. And they knew that it would be so challenging to get there. They brought the best horses. They were renowned here for the horse. There was forts here connected to the horse, sacred forts, in the shape of the horse. And we're walking on this place. It's full of history here. So, of course, when they got there, there was a big swell on the sea. But the children down there knew what was coming. And some of the locals had made a boat. They hadn't been on the water before. And they were saying, they started knocking on the door, looking for help. So they were like, and this old man came out and he said, oh, 2 doors down, they're waiting for you. Come on, you don't be know you're on the way. Go down 2 doors down. 2 big lads come out. He said, hardly 3 lads get the door. These lads have been working out all their lives before there was even a gym in the country. And they come out and they had the boat outside, the boat threw it up onto their shoulders. What? Hello, Muchi. Over onto the sea. Through a swell. There had not been a swell or a storm as big for years. But these boys were ready for it. And these lads, their bloodline has carried on to today. And they've since won the Olympics. They're from the Olympics. And they're famous. Now they're wild. Even today you can see one of them has a beard and his long hair, and he has that bit of crack in his eye. So they carry on. The bloodline always carries on. You'll always find this within people, it's in us. So they went over, and of course the 2 kids were waiting on the quay with their bags packed, no parents home with them, and then waiting with the little bags packed. Jump into the boat, throw a tarp over them, back over, and back up Uisnach. And just as Ogma is coming in, the moon is just going to rise. And he's walking in, and sure enough, as he gets into the centre of all the kids, the door opens behind him. He's just about to pull his stick up, and the door opens. The 2 kids come running in, and the moon starts rising behind him, and the light from the moon goes along the ground and touches his foot. Just as it touches his foot, he puts the stick into the ground and he goes back to being a young man again. And he says to them all, this is the end of my time. This is the last thing I can do on this earth. To gather you all together. And the children at the wedding said we must send a message to people in the future. We have to tell them how important the trees are and our culture. Because they don't seem to understand. They're very busy. They have so much stuff going on that they just can't understand that the trees are important and our culture. And the kids were, oh my God, it's true, I can't believe it, actually it's true, it's him, and he really did have a vision. And all the things that we've been dreaming about and all our visions at night, every night since, that we've been seeing is true. Because these kids are so sensitive. So he said, I want you to really help me to come up with the solution. So bit by bit the hands start to run up. And they're like, and we can leave a message, yeah. We had someone staying with us in our tribe that was from a place where they write things down. And then said, we don't write things down. We never write things down. Well, maybe we could. But what would we write down? So they started working out, what would we write? And we could leave a message. And we could write something. He said, but we don't understand Hebrew, and we don't understand Arabian, and we don't understand Egyptian hieroglyphs. We don't understand these things they write. And then the children slowly made up, we can make something up, we'll make it really easy. So they asked him, did the people look like us? And he said, yes, that was exactly it. They look exactly like us. Hands, feet, legs, arms, head. And they said, we can use that. We can use that to send a message. We'll make it as easy as possible for them to work out. And then they said, we'll do it with the trees, because we all know the trees. And we can tell them how important they are. So the children started working out. We'll use our hands. We'll write it down on paper. No. You can't write it on paper because they might just crumple it up and they might just throw it in the fire and burn it. We'll write it on a big stick. And we'll carve it into the stick. No. They might burn that and chop it up and make fire with it. And then one of the children came over that had come in on the boat and started pulling at his trousers and had a hand up. And he said, what is it? We can write it on the stones. We're really good at writing on the stones. We do this anyway. We have stones up in Newgrange. We have stones all over the country. We've been carving on them all the time. He said, yeah, but they can't understand what you're saying. But then we make it simple. So then they put their hands all up. We use our hands, we use our fingers. And the first letter will be the tree. And we'll use the first tree that comes in, which is the birch, where the sap came from. If we all leave in the morning, the birch tree comes in and it's like dust. And the wind blows the seeds and it takes off. And it's the pioneer tree. So the first letter is one finger, or one line. So then, as I said to the children around Ireland, so what would you do for your second tree? How many fingers? Does anyone The second tree then is the road. Now the road we were saying earlier on when we were walking in Westport.